everybody, and welcome to the first ever Final Four Talks. My name is Neelay Bhatt, and I'm the curator for the event. Before we go any further, I want to acknowledge the day today. April 4th, 1968, right here in Indianapolis, at an urban park at the intersection of Broadway and 17th. A gentleman led by these words, "I have some very sad news for you." That was Robert F. Kennedy breaking the news of the assassination of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. His words and the way he led that day with an impromptu, impassioned speech with love, compassion, and humanity changed the trajectory of what could have been in the city that night. So before we go further, I would love for us to watch that, and then we'll proceed.
For those of you who are Black and are tempted to be filled with hatred and mistrust of the injustice of such an act against all white people, I would only say that I can also feel in my own heart the same kind of feeling. I had a member of my family killed, but he was killed by a white man. But we have to make an effort in the United States. We have to make an effort to understand, to get beyond or go beyond these rather difficult times. My favorite poem, my favorite poet was Aeschylus. He once wrote, "Even in our sleep, pain which cannot forget falls drop by drop upon the heart, until in our own despair, against our will, comes wisdom through the awful grace of God." What we need in the United States is not division. What we need in the United States is not hatred. What we need in the United States is not violence and lawlessness, but is love and wisdom and compassion toward one another, feeling of justice toward those who still suffer within our country, whether they be white or whether they be Black. We turn home to say a prayer for the family Martin Luther King. Yeah, it's true. But more importantly, to say a prayer for our own country, which all of us love. A prayer for understanding and that compassion of which I spoke. Martin Luther King dedicated his life to love and to justice between fellow human beings. He died in the cause of that effort. In this difficult day, in this difficult time for the United States, it's perhaps well to ask what kind of a nation we are and what direction we want to move in. For those of you who are Black, considering the evidence evidently is that there were white people who were responsible, you can be filled with bitterness and with hatred and a desire for revenge. We can move in that direction as a country, in greater polarization, Black people amongst Blacks and white amongst whites, filled with hatred toward one another. Or we can make an effort, as Martin Luther King did, to understand and to comprehend and replace that violence, that stain of bloodshed that is spread across our land with an effort to understand, compassion, and love. We can do well in this country. We will have difficult times. We've had difficult times in the past, but we will have difficult times in the future. It is not the end of violence. It is not the end of lawlessness and is not the end of disorder. But the vast majority of white people and the vast majority of black people in this country want to live together, want to improve the quality of our life, and want justice for all human beings that abide in our land. And what dedicate ourselves to what the Greeks wrote so many years ago, to tame the savageness of man and make gentle the life of this world. Let us dedicate ourselves to that and say a prayer for our country and for our people. Thank you very much.
Wow. What powerful words. What we need is not division or hatred. What we need is love and compassion and wisdom. It is these words that averted a crisis and any violence in Indianapolis the day when riots broke out throughout the entire country. Indianapolis stayed calm. That's the power of words when used for good. They can make a dent in the universe, they can affect change, they can inspire and empower people for good. And that is what this event today is about. Final Four Talks, a racially just future, looking to share ideas and inspire you all to act. But before we go there, I want to acknowledge also how hard a year we have all had. From canceling the men's Final Four last year to where we are now, in the grand scheme of things, that's a minor thing when compared to the lives lost, the jobs lost, the change in everything we thought was normal. But what this little occasion, this last month has given us is hope. Is something to look forward to, some memories to create, some occasions to celebrate. Also, shout out to my Ohio University Bobcats beating the defending champions. Sorry, Virginia. But that's where the world is now. We're trying to see the light at the end of the tunnel, and this would not have happened without all the people behind the scenes for this. Shout out to the NCAA, and especially here the hometown team with Indianapolis as well. A huge thank you to all of you. Without you, none of this would happen, and for that we will always be grateful. So, as we kick off this inaugural Final Four Talks, we have an incredible lineup of speakers for all of you. From Turkey to Tokyo, from LA to Louisiana, we have spoken word artists and sports psychologists. We have athletes and activists and advocates and allies, all here to share the common thread of ideas that can make an impact. Along with the speakers too, as a part of the legacy of this event and giving back, we're acknowledging and supporting 4 local nonprofits with donations as well. All 4 of them have continued to play an impact in the city, not just in the last 1 year through the pandemic, but in the years past as well. The 100 Black Men of Indianapolis, Catch the Stars Foundation with Tamika and Taja Catchings, the Immigrant Welcome Center, and Grassroots Projects, which works to empower immigrant children that are especially under-resourced. All 4 of these nonprofits will be the beneficiaries of the event. Be sure to check them out during the breaks, support them, support the mission, and help us make the world a better place for all of us to live in. So, to kick us off today, we have none other than local spoken word artist and poet, Manon Voice. Please have a virtual applause for Manon, and let's start the event today. Sit back, take in the ideas, and be inspired to act upon it wherever you are. Thank you all.
The neon numbers on the shot clock glare. The press of time thickens the arena with angst. The count drawing downward, like the sweat beads that line the rim of foreheads and crawl these walls. On the way into these doors are the halls that boast the memorabilia of crimson conquest, championships held fast in the embittered glass box wide for witness. timeless monuments of pride to remind us of our place in this game. We're here. We have gathered again and again, filing in our positions of spectators, commentators, and players, referees, and trainers, many of whom dedicate this game to a soundtrack of lofty ideals, crossing their hearts with their hands, while others kneel on an outstanding promissory note still yet to be fulfilled. Those with the ticketed stamps of privilege and power, courtside and Ray-Bans, all eyes glance to see the tip-off, contender against champion, their color brandished on their backs, for which we have been socialized to cheer or sneer, according to the pages from an old playbook that has been socially engineered, where the rules have been rigged in the favor of only one home team who reigns supreme, and all else are just others. Bodies scrambling in the paint, entangled ankles, toes against toes, shoulder against shoulder of the formidable foe. And from these sit-ins and stands, we have seen pass after pass up of justice, brick after brick of crumbling liberty, block after block out of rebound attempts at diversity, equity, inclusion, drop balls in the ruthless courts of no mercy, foul shots, foul shots, foul shots from those who are paid to guard the game, protected in the no-charge zone, where their carrying offenses are justified and then overthrown. When the crowd protests, the victims are offered free throws of money to settle their reticence until the next offense. Those lost, engraved in the marquees of history, these names of martyrdom we clad ourselves in like retired jerseys. How many numbers now? These plays propagated through our political and personal media outlets, replayed and reshared as the highlights of our blood sport. Printed publications give us the terminology of our defeat, and although we are wiser at the game, we still keep getting beat. Time after time, we began again from the baseline, pleading for impartiality, told that progress is slow. Just keep pressing. Keep your eyes on these field goals. You've come a long way from the plantation, a long way from your foreign nation. Come on, keep trying to cross over. Maybe someday you'll gain possession. And although we are too many first too late, a win from the underdog always poses the grave threat that will cause this tired game to erupt in an upset. And yet, the times we have tried to exit, to build our defenses, our Black Wall Streets have been burned so that we can stay tethered to this system. So they keep franchising the struggle for their own benefit, like those who profit off the building of more prisons. And now look, we are doing overtime. The neon numbers on the scoreboard glare. The press of time thickens the arena with angst. The count drawing downward. There are no more quarters left in this game. How will you go down in the Hall of Fame?